Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of my RENovating, my Renaissance Festival Boba Fett. Today I'm going to be working on the shoulder podrons, the shoulder armor, the padding, whatever you want to call it. So this is the rough outline of what I would like it to look like for my initial sketch. Now what I have here today for reference is I have some templates that I purchased on Etsy from an independent seller. I have 2 pages of templates. I'm going to have to cut out each item twice to mirror it, and then I'll have to do that process again for the second shoulder. So what I have here today to work with, first of all, I've got the foam templates that I'll be using. I've got 3 different types of craft foam here. This one is going to be a thicker sheet, and this will be used for the initial main pieces. I figure this will get 1 good pauldron, as in the bigger pieces. Well, this is the bigger piece right here. Each one of these will probably get a full pauldron out, and then probably some under the shoulder armor. And in case I run out as well, I've got 2 smaller, more 8x11 size. And this is also the 8x11, it's just a lot thinner. This can be used for some smaller detailing, such as some line work or some outline edge pieces. Once I am finished with the assembly, what we'll do is we'll put a coat of Plastidip on it, which is essentially spray paintable plastic. It'll help finish the sealant, and it will give it a nice, almost like a rubber feeling, and it won't wear and tear as easily, because craft foam it's pretty delicate, and as we can see here from one of my bigger rolls, there's some extensive cat damage. Now that's partially my fault for leaving it out, but with Plastidip it won't look as bad as that. So once it's Plastidipped a couple times, what we're going to do is we're going to paint it. For that I've got some paints that I'll be using. I've got a Rub and Buff. It's a silver finish, and this will add some weathering, some light silver wear and tear to the pauldron. Now I also have a lovely beverage to get me through, because this is not going to be a short process. So cheers, and let's get down to business. Also, because I'm filming this out in the open of the apartment and not in the office, there will be cats about. So apologies for that, but also it's quite fun. So the first thing we need to do is we need to cut out the templates. All right, so I have traced out 4 of the first part of the shoulder pauldron. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut them out with the X-Acto knife, and I'm going to be as straight as possible. It's really easy to get a little bit of a curve in there, so I want to go nice and straight up and down. I'll get 4 of them cut out, and then we'll cut out the rest. All right, so I have finished the construction on the shoulder pads and the upper bicep armor. When they go together, the shoulder pad will sit right here and the under armor will go right in here. So it'll be something like that. What I'm gonna do now is I'm going to put on a couple coats of Plastidip and let it sit overnight. So I want to do that before I do any painting, just to make sure that any holes, any issues are sealed before I get any paint on here. So I'm gonna check in with you tomorrow in 3, 2. Oh, look at that! No time passed at all. It's definitely not 2 days later. Cool. So what I've got here is the Plastidip has been applied on. Now I know it looks kind of rough. There's a couple layers on here. It's gonna look better when we paint it. So what I have here in front of me are the materials to finish the shoulders. All right, so what I have here in front of me, I've got the 2 shoulder pads, the 2 smaller armor bits that will go on the upper biceps. We've got some fake fur because in the initial sketch, we can see that there is some fur underlining the shoulder pads. So I've got 2 of these fake furs that we'll be using there. I've got some brown elastic, the rub and buff that we've already seen. And these, they're essentially some almost like studs that I can put on. I have them on the helmet. They have brads on them. The brads can go into the foam, and I can either leave them as the gold color, or I can dust over them with a silver, or just go over them with a paint. It adds some texturing and makes it look like it's not just a flat piece. Another thing I am going to do with these pieces is I'm gonna put an overlay of smaller, thinner foam on the seams. What we're gonna start with is just some coats of black paint on all of these items, and then we'll get moving. Okay, so the initial black coats are out of the way. I'm gonna let these 2 dry for just a little bit more because the sides are still pretty wet. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to mark out where I'm going to be putting the yellow paint. It's only gonna be on the bottom parts of the shoulder pads. And then I'll apply the silver rub and buff. So let's get some yellow on there. All right, so as is the nature with yellow paint on black background, it is gonna come through and look a little green for the first coat or 2. So I am gonna have to apply about 3 to 4 different coats of yellow paint to really get it to that nice solid yellow color that we want. So I'm not gonna record myself doing all of those layers because that would be really boring, take up a lot of time. So I'm gonna come back to the video when I've done all of the yellow paint on both shoulders. Hey everyone. Some sad news is at some point in that process, I left to go to dinner. And when I came back, I forgot to hit record. So I missed just a little bit of content. I said I wasn't gonna record the yellow coats, but I did miss the weathering, I believe, with the rub and buff and applying the green to the shoulder or to the biceps, and then I did apply those studs with the brads. So when you see that in the video here in just a few seconds, you might be like, hold on, I missed that? No, you didn't miss it, I missed that. So sorry about that. So here we've got our shoulder pads and our upper bicep armor. They have been lined with the studs, painted, and the rub and buff silver effect has been applied to each one. Now this is my first time with rub and buff. A little bit goes a long way. That was one dab right there. So I really just used a paper towel and spread it along. There's only 2 more parts to do with this tonight. There's going to be the elastic bands for the upper biceps, and then there's the fur bit to go under the actual shoulder pad. Okay, so here we've got the shoulder pads sitting on the mannequin in the way that they will sit on the actual armor. They will go underneath the black scarf piece, and they will be connected to the main overlay of the armor. I just don't have that built, so right now they're not attached to anything. The finished product looks like this. It's weathered. It's got the fur underlay on the inside. It's got the grommets. It goes right in there. And then I'll put the helmet on for just a second. I'm wearing these bits right here right now because I can't put them on the mannequin. Ideally, I would like to have these attached to the shoulders as well, whether by some sort of strap hanging off. So when it's being worn, I'll turn this to the side here. So when it's being worn, it can hang down right below it so the wearer can just slip it on when they put the overall suit on. I think I'm finished with this episode here. You look straight ahead. There you go. Finished with this episode. We've got the lovely shoulder pads, shoulder armor all wrapped up. Thanks for watching. This one took me a little bit longer than I really thought it would, but that's all part of it. That's all part of the game. Thank you very much for watching this episode. Stay tuned for the next one, and may the force be with you.